But is it really working though?
Yeah, that's a question.
I'm gonna find out right now. Let us see. Hey, there we go. Yeah, working great.
Yay! I'll post in the Discord. We are live.
Is it really working?
I think it's working.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah?
These headphones just suck, so I couldn't quite tell if it was just picking us up normally or the actual mics.
All right, and let's pull up the chat here.
Yeah, what are you even looking at?
I don't even know.
Isn't it that video right there?
This one?
No. Oh, is it? Is that what it is?
No.
Oh. Live.
Maybe we just go to our channel.
Yeah.
There we go.
Hey, we got a couple on there.
I mean, it's your phone, and then this phone, and then this phone.
Oh. Oh, wait, no, we
Hey.
got a comment. Yeah, right on.
Blake, boy, every day is different here in the tavern. That is for sure. There's no real way to know what's going to happen today.
I mean, there's some standards that happen every day.
Sure, I mean, we got customers coming in.
You
we
got
gotta open the
lightsaber
gates.
demos, drinks being drinking, and people playing games.
That's a given.
Yeah, that's a given.
But today we got in our order for Lorcana and Magic the Gathering, so we had to unbox that, get that on the shelf. We were sorting cards a lot today and cleaning.
Inventory management.
Boy,
Yeah, no, that's all standard stuff. It's
The-
almost daily stuff dealing
we're
with.
just getting the store. We're still recovering.
There's probably a good quarter of the store still that's just piled high with speakers, XLR cables, just stuff from Conclash that we still need to get put away and dealt with. Yeah. But it's getting worked on. Not by me, I'm never here, so.
Yeah, well, what do you do?
Other inventory management, ordering product, manufacturing goods, any of our customized stuff where we engrave our stuff. I work on a lot of that. Flasks, coasters, leather bags. And then I also work on some of our product lines, our sabers, our LARP equipment and swords. I make sure that we got displays for them. I make sure we got those orders coming in and make sure they're divvied out to all the different places we sell, which is this Provo store, our events team online, and soon to be our Sandy store.
Yeah, so you're the manufacturing side. I'm the in-store Provo side, running the social medias as well.
Yeah.
So that's why you guys see a lot of me and less of you and the other team members, because it definitely takes a village.
Yeah, but you're also the prettiest, so.
That's definitely not true. But I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, so we sent out a survey.
Wow, we got 95 responses.
Yeah, 95 responses,
That's
which
pretty
is
good.
crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, we hosted Conclash last week. It's now been a week.
Yep.
The dust is finally settled. We're still recovering from it. I felt like I finally caught up on my sleep.
Yeah, my legs are still tight from like probably 20 miles of walking.
Yeah,
Like the 3 days.
all the
of
tables
working
and
on
chairs,
Conclash.
loading and unloading.
Yeah.
We had to do that all again.
I
Like every
legit,
time.
I went to a doctor and got a muscle relaxer to try to
Wow.
help my tight muscles relax.
So
Yeah. It's been good though.
So yeah, I feel like I finally recovered from Conclash.
Yeah.
And then, we put out this survey. We wanted to see what people felt about the event.
We did a survey last year, right?
We've done a
But
survey
we got
every year.
only like 5 responses.
No,
I don't think
no.
we've ever gotten 95 responses.
We definitely got a lot of responses
Okay.
last year. 95 might be our most, so
Yeah.
that's really exciting for me that people have.
They cared
replied.
about it enough to give us feedback. How's Sandy coming along?
Mark, Sandy.
It's going well.
I've been there a lot of days this week. We've got Wyatt, who's the general manager there. If you follow the Sandy socials, you'll be seeing a lot more of him. The floor just got painted today. So paint's up. Great. We're receiving product next week and we're building out shelves.
Yeah,
so.
I haven't been there through the build out, unfortunately, but I have placed tens of thousands of dollars worth of inventory to come in. So
Yeah, that store's
It's
gonna
gonna be awesome.
That store's gonna be stocked. I'm gonna release a schedule actually next week for the Sandy store. So, okay. So we have this survey of everyone who attended Conclash. Real time. I glanced over it before, but I wanted to kind of real time with everyone watching or with some people watching, go over the responses, see how everyone felt about it. All right. With 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest, how would you rate overall atmosphere and sense of community in Conclash?
4.5 out of 5.
4.5 out of 5 stars, which is amazing.
That's fantastic.
With only 7 reviews going into 3 or lower.
Yeah.
We didn't get a single 1 star or 1 heart, so that's really nice. Now, obviously, this might be a skewed result. Maybe the only people who are bothering to take the survey are the people who actually
Who
care.
liked it? Yeah,
And so
for sure.
But no doubt we're gonna get feedback and we're gonna see the good, bad, and the ugly. But yeah, 4.5 out of 5.
Is it weird
stars.
that I really want to see? Like, I want to hear the complaints. I mean, the praise is always nice. Don't get me wrong.
We're gonna go into the complaints first.
Okay.
I'm always a
Good,
bad
good,
news
good, good.
first,
Yeah.
then good news.
Me too. Me too.
Okay, this is some good data though. On a scale of 1 to 5, how important are the following factors when deciding to attend Conclash? And we gave everyone choices like price of ticket, venue location, opportunity to meet new players, side events, and the main event itself. Like, why do people attend Conclash?
Yeah.
Number one reason people attend is
It's the event.
is the game.
It's Conclash. It's a big D&D game. It's interesting how the rest of those kind of evened out.
Yeah, so the biggest thing for sure is the event. Makes sense. People are showing up for the world record D&D game. The majority of everything else is sitting around a 3 on this scale. So price of ticket, side events, location, venue, opportunity to meet people, still important. Nobody's saying it's not important.
So if we're looking at, what most important, least important, stuff like that, the green bar, and I'm sorry we don't have the graph pulled up on the screen, which is second most important, is price of ticket.
Price of ticket is a deciding factor for sure.
And then third most important is side events. So this year we did a comedy show. We had the armored knights fighting and stuff. But yeah, I mean, that makes total sense to me.
Yeah. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 5, how do you feel the value of the ticket experience and was it worth the cost? So more than half of the people said, so 52% gave it a 5, which is great value. The experience and entertainment were more than worth the price. 30% also said it was a good value. So over 75%, almost 80%.
It is 80%. It's like 82%.
82% say good value or better.
Yep.
10% say it's just worth it, and then a marginal percent say somewhat worth it, not worth it at all.
Maybe 5% and below.
2% say not worth it, 4% say somewhat worth it.
Yeah.
How would you rate the following aspects? This is kind of a... Yeah. Okay, so Staff helpfulness, good and excellent. Venue accessibility,
Not
okay.
as good, but okay.
Yeah. Quality of dungeon masters, DMs, or game runners. A lot of people said excellent.
I mean, that's great news. But that one's somewhat surprising to me, just because when you're doing a community event where you're relying on all of the strangers to run the game for you, all of the dungeon masters, I think it's amazing that we are getting such a hit rate on good dungeon masters when there's no way to vet the dungeon masters that are going to be playing the game.
Well,
but I mean, awesome.
I think part of it might be the adventure itself.
Sure,
Might have
a
been
really
easy.
well-written DM packet and adventure can take a lot of the guesswork out of the DM process.
Yeah, so props to Kevin who wrote the adventure. We'll
Yeah.
probably see some of that in the feedback and the praises. But having a really easy to run adventure definitely makes the quality of the DMs go up. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the highlights, but we're gonna actually scroll to the bottom here. Let's go over the feedback. Okay, so these are the things that people want to see improvements on. These are the things that We Geek Together takes, super.
I'm already seeing some things that we know about. Yeah.
Yeah, these are the things that we're always wanting to focus on next year and try to improve on. Okay, so the breakdown, here's the summary, and then we'll actually get into the nitty-gritty. Acoustics and sound quality. Announcements for the main stage audio were often difficult to hear from people in the distance and upper level.
It is, that is something that we have struggled with
we're battling,
every single year.
we're battling
And
the venue, but
every year I think we do get a little bit better, and we get a little bit more equipment, and we get a little bit more experience under our belt how to address it. But the venue of the Provo Mall has one area where the acoustics work decently, but the rest of the mall, it's really hard to make work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, another summary of the feedback. The event structure and interactivity. Many guests felt that the event lacked community involvement and cross-table interaction, making it feel less like a collective experience compared to previous years. Suggestions include incorporating mechanics that reward cross-table interactions, linking factions together, bring back roaming actors cosplay, and making the main event more dynamic with updates based on table success. Cool.
Yeah. I think one area that we added this year that helped it a little bit from previous years was the base camp.
Base camp was so cool.
Yeah.
I love the base camp mechanic. We will always have the base camp mechanic. Kevin's a genius for coming up with that.
But the roaming actors and stuff were such a highlight in previous years. It's a shame we couldn't put it together this year.
Yeah.
You know.
Player experience and game design. Several participants requested scheduled longer breaks between acts for food and personal time. Larger tables or smaller party sizes and more side activities they could do not involve shopping, such as side games or painting. Game design feedback included wanting more player agency and narrative choices, clear instructions for tracking scores, and balancing combat to be more challenging. Okay.
I will say, just on the last part about balancing combat to be more challenging, every year we have tried to kick players' butts, but people are too good at building characters. I mean, it's great that people can min-max, but I don't want to say we're underestimating the players at all, but the players' combined forces of 1,000 players just kicks our butt every time.
Sorry, I am typing in the chat. All right, back to the feedback. Okay, cool.
Some of that other stuff was definitely interesting.
Vendor and venue management. Notifying the food court to provide more staff is necessary to reduce food wait times. Additional attendees requested increasing the number of variety of vendors, having more player events on Friday, and potentially holding the event in multiple venues. Yeah, so the Provo Town Center, we've always hosted here, and the food court has always been super grateful. And we've known every year the food court gets slammed.
They, from numbers that we've heard, they will do enough business on the one day of the game, more business than they will do in a month of regular mall service, which is, I mean, that's great.
That's so cool.
It can be really hard to handle.
Yeah, it's like a crazy all-day rush for them. And the problem is like, you know, they aren't usually operating at those capacities, and
Not
so
even close.
They don't have staff hired. You know, for a weekend. So they probably do have all hands on deck, but all hands is probably like 5 staff
They
members.
get they bring in a niece or nephew or something.
So I agree. The food court, you know, I love them, and that's one of the things I love supporting, but it's a long time. My wife got fries for the kids, and it took like 15 minutes. Just to get our fries. And so I was like, food court. Okay. We're going to get into some of the
individual responses. That was a summary of what people had collectively talked about.
Yeah, well, it means multiple people had talked about those things.
Right.
But yeah, I want to get into these. Okay. I felt disappointed by the lack of difference between code breakers, vanguards, and exterminators. For example, I had expected to be doing more role play as Vanguard, as I vaguely remember that being one of the factors presented as being part of the Vanguards. But not only that, after the game I spoke with some others and discovered that the groups actually shared much more in common than I expected. If in the future you do more divisions, then I would recommend more difference in function and adventure, a bit more similar to year 1, rather than different lists of many of the same rooms with a different group item. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
fair.
Would it be possible to have the event in multiple venues instead of the same one? It was a bit of a longer drive to get there. Okay, yeah, we saw that. Slightly better pre-game coordination to ensure all tables were active and ready before the start. Our DM didn't show, and it took about 30 minutes to get us into new tables after the start.
I will say, out of all the years, registration ran the smoothest this year. But given that, unless you disagree.
No, it did.
Yeah.
But we still had a line out the door at 3:30 of a lot of people who just showed up a half hour before the game.
Yeah.
One of the things I want to implement next year is like a in-game reward or something, like early bird buff, where like if you've registered before 2 p.m., 2 hours before the event, if you've registered before 2 p.m., you get a little in-game, you just get a maybe you get a roll advantage on your next initiative check or something.
There is the chronic issue of Mormon Standard Time here.
Utah Standard Time, and you know, us nerds like to, we're fashionably late.
It does make me wonder, maybe we have a separate registration just for the case-by-case situations. My DM didn't show up. I don't know where my table is. A separate registration to handle all of those
problems,
and then the regular registration where people are like, "Hey, I'm here. This is my table. This is my group. Where do we go?"
It's actually a pretty good idea, splitting up the registration so we can have multiple coverage.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy the PvP aspect so much last year because it felt like it came at the expense of other folks' fun. The cooperation and different squad roles were delightful this time. Well, that's good feedback. Mainly just a better way to find DM's notifications of big events or changes. The runners were not always ideal. Cool.
Yeah, that's something we've worked on this year. We had the app so that reporting could be just quicker and more succinct. But it's still a beast to try and handle everything in real time.
I think whatever, if my spelling
Your
is terrible.
spelling.
I'm trying to both type in chat and
Sure,
read
yeah.
and talk, so you guys are getting the worst of me. I think the final scorecards need to be improved. If reporting those could be done via the website too, and also clarified, that would help. As a couple winners felt like their table added their scores together rather than the individuals. Okay, so like vetting the final scorecards would probably be better.
Yeah. We definitely don't want anyone to feel like the win came because of cheating or because of inaccurate, counting.
Sure, and that's why I think only one year we actually did prizes for scorecards, but I think all the years we haven't done prizes for scorecards because I don't want people to be incentivized to cheat.
Yeah.
So it's more of like a fun highlight of the game. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that,
I thought they meant by final scorecards when I thought that was tallying up final damage. If the final scorecards was the
That's also for
most
the damage,
most
too.
player deaths, most most nat ones, those are just fun flavor.
yeah, I think
But the damage could be,
for sure, the final damage for the boss should have been in app. We just didn't have enough time. Like we were testing the app like the night before.
Yeah.
So it's just more time to develop the app so we can actually record damage from everyone.
That's the benefit of doing this event year over year over year. We can use the same app next year with little tweaks, and we have another year of development with it. It's great.
Okay, so we've got a big complaint about Dungeon Masters, and I think this is really good. DMs who flake out without any word ahead need to be on a list or prevented from DMing again, since otherwise there's no personal consequence to doing so, and they could affect players more if kept track of. And then they go on to talk about how they were a DM and they had 3 seats open, and then somebody didn't show, a DM didn't show, and then they had to absorb another group. And they handled it very well. But the idea of being able to flag repeatable flakes.
That's interesting.
Yeah, honestly, that's pretty interesting.
One thing that we've tried, every year, because sometimes getting enough DMs to play in the first place can be a hard thing to do. This year was the first year where we had, I don't want to say an overwhelming amount of Dungeon Masters off the bat during registration, but we definitely had way more DMs sign up at first, which was great. We weren't as stressed about getting the DMs that we needed. But we did the DM. They had a free ticket. They had a free seat. They're the ones doing the work at the table, so they got to come for free. I wonder if having even like a $5 ticket for DMs, not about making the money, but about giving them, they have a little skin in the game. So they're like, hey, I paid for this ticket. I should show up. Otherwise, I'm getting nothing for my money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think so too. I think we will charge a little bit for our Dungeon Masters next year, just so. Yeah, because a free ticket's a free ticket, and it's I can't actually go, no problem.
Yeah.
But if you actually spent $5 or $10,
Yeah.
then that's like, hey, I'm going to spend this money, and I'm going to prepare this game because I'm planning on showing up.
Yeah. I would worry about blacklisting one because, we have no idea what happened with any of those DMs.
Sure, and they did say that too, like maybe you can have an appeal process or something.
Okay.
One thing we do have is we have records of people who bought tickets and didn't show up.
Yeah.
So this is absolutely something we can do. In the future.
Yeah.
Shane commented in the chat, as a DM for 3 years now, I would happily pay for my ticket. That means a lot.
That's good to know.
Thank
Yeah.
you. We sincerely can't do it without our Dungeon Masters.
Yeah.
We know that. Like, this whole event hinges on volunteer work by Dungeon Masters saying, hey, let's do this together.
Yeah.
But I think it just, doing a little bit to have a better commitment, because having Dungeon Masters flake every year, it sucks.
It sucks.
And it's always a problem. So trying to minimize that problem is great.
Sound could be improved. Yep.
Sound. First one I would try and match table space with how many players will be at it. Our table for the game was next to the railing, and it could fit 6 people okay, but we had 7, which made it feel cramped.
Yeah. One thing, and this has always been a struggle. The tables that we get are always these like really skinny but long tables, which is not the best for a D&D experience.
No.
But we've always just been at the mercy of the rental companies with what tables they have available, at what price and everything. Yeah, it's definitely something that we will keep looking into year over year so that we can find the right kind of tables, fits the right kind of people, stuff like that.
Well, I'll talk about we'll talk about the future plans, because I think we have something that might be able to change all of this in the future. Had a difficult time finding our table. I agree, that was a bit more complicated this year. We tried something new, and it's something to work on. Ability to send messages to squads inside the Dice Outpost app. Dang, a live chat would have been so cool.
That could be sick.
That would be so cool.
Yeah.
The acoustics made it difficult to hear. Having cross-table interactions. This year it felt like we were playing at a table next to other players, not that we were all at an event together. I would like to see a mechanic in the game that rewards cross-table interactions without the need to run to a central location to do so.
Okay.
So I think while the adventure was really good and streamlined, I think there needed to be more points in the adventure that different interactions, successes or failures, would result in different paths in the game. The way the adventure was structured this year is it only had 2 acts. 3 hours was the first act, which was getting down to the boss, and then we had the third act, which was the boss. And so there wasn't really any states of failure or success up until that final act.
Now, that has made previous games a little more complicated.
Way more complicated.
And there, we got feedback about the clarity, of those games from the DMs. The objectives not being as clear as they should be. So we tried something a bit different this year.
Yeah.
But maybe we need to try and find a middle ground.
Yeah, I think there's
Keep
definitely
the 3-act structure, but something, that's clearer.
More clarity needed on the interaction between the factions as part of the Codebreaker factions. I had no idea where our code words were coming from, didn't know how we were helping the other factions, and didn't know the liturgy of binding was even a thing until after the break. Okay, so, and that might be the Dungeon Master themselves was more unclear on the packet, and they didn't really know that. So that's absolutely a possibility.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. The DM for the main game lacked any charisma or stage presence. That's me. Additionally, we're all really Additionally, we're all really disappointed that there were no regular updates on how the other groups were doing, and no updates to the story based on our successes or failures. In year 1, it seemed so exciting to watch the scenes play out on stage during breaks, knowing Eldef had lost her eye, and the further failure would mean her death was hugely motivating, made the whole thing so much more exciting. I wanted to be there. I was excited. I enjoyed the energy of the DM watching the story unfold. And other people getting to play a part and change the outcome. And whichever year it has, the captains kept getting killed off on stage. Again, hugely motivating and made it all more fun. I was very invested. This year, while it was fun playing in a building full of nerds, it was cool that we were all in the same dungeon. It felt like a story we would have gotten just as much satisfaction from while playing at home.
That's some good feedback.
It is good feedback.
So year 2 is the one they're mostly talking about.
No, so this is year 1. They're talking about the original Dead Wars.
Oh, you're right.
Eldaf and that kind of stuff. And then year 2 also had, both games and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
This year, our stage theatrics were cut to a bare minimum.
I think one of the things was, again, because there was no 3-act structure, there was no midway or part of the first act where, there was really much to talk about at all. And that kind of, directs where the information is given from the DM on the stage is when stuff is changing in game. And because there was only 2 acts, stuff changed between Act 1 and Act 2, but not much elsewhere. which did not give much instances for a show.
Yeah. So I think part of it would be the building of the adventure itself. I think another aspect, one of the challenges again we face is like people have a hard time seeing the communication. We do the theatrics on stage, but only the people who are near the stage are going to see these experiences.
Yeah.
And so this year we cut down on a ton of that because we're like
we want it to be as clear as possible.
Yeah, we want the game to run smooth. We want the packet to be digestible.
Yeah.
But we did lose a lot of those extra elements, the theatrics of it all. And so I completely understand with that, and with the 2-act structure instead of 3-act structure. I think you have a valid point. So I think
I think a lot of that could change potentially with a different venue in the future.
So that's what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
My hope is for next year is we have a new venue. I can't say anything because we're still talking. You know, we have meetings scheduled with a few venues, and we're talking with some other game stores possibly to collaborate with.
Yeah.
But the Provo Town Center, I love it here. My heart is here, and our store's going to be here as long as the Provo Town Center wants us to be here. Is a really interesting place to have an event, and it feels cool to like play D&D in a mall. Like the millennial in me is like super excited. But I want to say Conclash has almost outgrown the mall, and I think what if we had like a venue with a big stage that everyone can see.
So I think about when we did the Stormlight Archives game at Dragonsteel last year, where it was in one big room, every table could see the stage, and the speakers were arranged so that everyone could hear the stage, and I think that's just the way to go.
Yeah. So a more conducive venue, an event hall.
Yeah.
That we can get everyone in, then I think that would be an amazing.
Give us the room to explore more elaborate storytelling.
Dude, and then we could have lights, we could have music, we could have
smoke, fog.
Yeah, like we can actually do something.
A chance to do all the extra storytelling, all the extra flavor, without worrying that tables aren't seeing it or that it's getting lost in context. You know, we don't want to confuse people. We want to tell an engaging story. That can be hard to do when they're only getting snippets of information.
Cool. We got some people in the chat here talking about. I preferred the 2 acts for the packet layout, but there didn't seem like a big difference between factions. Okay, good point thing here.
Hearing the airship.
The airship has crashed. Was it on? Yeah, I do remember the cheer that just went up for that. If there were objectives that announced when we reached Act 1, that changed Act 2, that would have been a good middle ground. Maybe theatrics around those objectives being completed. Yeah, I agree. Captains were dropping off code breakers stuff and telling them who sent them, but found out after that not every table got that. Also, some DMs held on to the stuff from their envelopes. Yeah, sometimes we just have tables.
Sometimes hiccups happen.
Yeah.
DMs don't run things correctly all the time. Captains might miss handing stuff out to a table. Yeah.
The intro to the packet was lacking to explain why players did not understand what to do. While the DM should have created an intro to explain purpose, having a universal could solve that issue. That's fair. That's fair. I already. On Friday. Okay.
That's interesting. Do a meet and greet with
with
other players.
So meet and greet. So we did some people in the Discord did a sushi clash.
Oh really?
On Thursday.
Oh, that's cool.
Where they got together at Sushi Bros on Freedom, and they got together and had sushi. And I know
that's so cool.
Some of our team members also joined them too.
I think the more we can support, the more we can support the Discord. People talking to themselves, whatever we can do to amp that up so that people know that they can reach out to their table beforehand and meet their other players and stuff, that'd all be awesome. Nice.
Sorry. Beautiful lady has entered the chat. And by a beautiful lady, I mean my lady.
Your waifu.
Yeah. I wish there were TTRPG games to sign up and play on Saturday like there were in past years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We
almost had some stuff. No?
The gaming experience this year definitely suffered. And it fell on... It's just as we prioritize things, it got lower and lower prioritized, and it just didn't happen. We didn't have painting, and we didn't have gaming, which were two things we've had in the previous years.
It didn't help that this year, and I say it didn't help, but we made choices, that led up this way. But we're opening up a second store, and so much of the stuff that gets Conclash ready to go in the months leading up to it, we're getting a little bit sidetracked to try and get the Sandy store ready to open in like a week and a half. It's not an excuse, but we are only so many hands in our little merry band crew, and things slip through the cracks.
Yep. For the Just Rolled Just Rolled Up event, the crew should have been having couple folks in line to avoid the wait. There was waiting that happened at the comedy event, so that's
now I will say,
you know what? Let's talk about the comedy event. We'll get back to the thing event here. Yeah. If anyone in the chat attended the comedy event, we did a comedy event Friday. Just Rolled Up.
Now,
based off of Tracy Hickman's Killer Breakfast. Mm-hmm. Heavily inspired from it.
Now, we did the comedy event, and it wasn't from our POV. It didn't seem like a bad show, and it seemed like it was well received, and we were surprised how well it worked, given that we hadn't rehearsed it at all. We hadn't done a trial run of any kind. I loved how it turned out, but afterwards, not only were we really excited about it, but we saw those hiccups, and we really want to bring it back, having worked on those hiccups.
I'd love to do in 2 months another tryout Just Rolled Up. I think we would do maybe another free event, and then see, and then maybe this is something we could just bring to conventions.
Yeah,
just say, hey, Fan X, we're going to do a panel, we're going to do a Just Rolled Up, and then just go from there.
It's a really good format. I do think if we had a chance to rehearse, practice, work out those kinks, would have been a little bit smoother.
Sure.
For not having done any of that, I'm more than pleased with how it turned out.
Yeah. It was terrifying for me because it's very much community and audience driven.
Yeah. If you don't have the people in the audience wanting to come on stage.
I could have gone up on stage and there could have been like 100+ people waiting for a comedy show.
Yeah.
But not wanting to be in the comedy show. And then I would have just been standing on stage and be like, oh, I guess no one wants to come up on stage with me.
I told you before it started, it'd be bad if no one showed up. It'd be worse if we got a full house and then just bomb.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, pleasantly surprised that it worked out.
Spencer Bennett saying something. It'd be fun to have it open up for GMs to post events to run games before the event. Oh yeah, letting the GMs run their own stuff beforehand.
Tavern job board style. Honestly, that's a pretty good idea.
That's not a bad.
Well, a lot of conventions have like a gaming hall.
Yeah.
So if we just had a space where it's just like open gaming hall, here's our board game library.
Yeah.
I think that's a great thing. Great thing to do.
Do their own before the Dead Wars. Yeah, you. Now there are the people that come in weekly and play in the tavern, and with those people, with the games that we host here, we absolutely did do lead-up games and a lead-up storyline leading up to the big game, and people who get to enjoy that, it's awesome. But something that we can maybe market is an adventure series that people can play at home or at their local game store that they can play leading up to the game itself. That's interesting.
Cool. This is a sheesh.
Whoa.
Oh, well,
Someone wrote an essay.
We love that. We love that. All right. Scheduled short breaks between acts. I would love to, in the game packet, have more time. And maybe instead of doing a 4-hour game, it's a 4.5-hour game.
I'd say go 5 hours.
Maybe
And
5
do
hours,
a full
but just
30-minute break
give
halfway through.
Give a good break in between. I think so.
Yeah.
As
the,
well as
the 10-minute pee break was not enough.
if you could stagger those breaks. So be like, all right, code breakers, your break is at 6 to 6:30.
Sure. Yeah.
Exterminators, your break is 6:30 to 7, and Vanguard, yours was 5:30 to 6.
That's right. There's always something rolling. My only worry is that, during someone's break, if an announcement happens or something and someone's gone, I wouldn't want people to feel like they missed out on something happening.
Yeah.
Just because it was their time to
But
take a
also,
break.
1,000 people hitting the bathroom at the same time is really tough.
Especially
Really
the
tough.
bathrooms here. They are not big enough.
Yeah. Okay, increased opportunity for player agency within the game itself. We did talk about how the packet didn't have, simplified, easy to run, but at the expense of
Agency.
we lose some of the agency. More dynamic, balanced combat scenarios.
2024 fifth level characters with no variance rules.
Yeah.
Obliterated everything. Yeah.
Yeah, so overpowered, it's just underpowered stuff. So, credit to all the players who played this year. They just destroyed it just overkilled it. So we just need to make it even harder.
Yeah, we just need to make stuff harder. Yeah.
Making it clear on the most cards what exactly the numbers are meant to be tracked. So the scorecards again do need to be defined more. More going on stage, decoration, and narration during the big event.
Yep.
So longer epilogue. An adventure so far, what to expect section being added to the players' packets. Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's good feedback. Okay. I think we have pretty much touched on all the
Most
pieces
of the big things,
feedback.
yeah.
Here's a good one. For the days leading up to the event, it would be cool to see a variety of one-shot games from other systems to play and participate before. Do Shadow Dark, Cosmere, Fallout, Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk.
Yeah,
I want to talk about Cyberpunk later.
I agree. This was kind of our failing of not having a gaming room and gaming experience. But yeah. Chairs at the tables felt weak to me. They felt weak to us too. As a DM, I would prefer to see more SRD monsters, reserving homebrewing monsters for bosses and the BBEG. It would make my game prep a lot easier, not having to import so many homebrew monsters. Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if I completely agree with that. I think having unique monsters for this makes it really cool.
Yeah.
But that's just...
You get unique minis if you go
me.
that route.
But also the prep time I completely understand.
I just had a thought, and I didn't read the feedback form myself, but was there a question about I know there was a question about do people feel like they got their value? But was there a question along the lines of, if your ticket was more expensive, what would you have liked to see improvements on, or where would you like to see the money spent?
We didn't really have feedback for that.
Because there's so many problems that come from we're working on a shoestring budget, and we're getting the cheapest tables and chairs we can, and stuff like that. I mean, within reason. We're not stealing homeless people's chairs or
sure
anything like that. But if these are quality things that can be added to the event to make the event better, would people be on board with paying more money per ticket to have a higher quality event?
All right, let's get into the highlights. So here's kind of the summary. Whoop. What is that here? Main event structure and cooperative gameplay. Many attendees highlighted the main event, specifically noting the sense of working together across all the tables, which led to an exciting conclusion and a combined win-loss camaraderie. Features like legacy boons, the relic system, sharing of items between, and overall structure were praised for making the game smoother and more involving. Cool. Atmosphere and live entertainment, the improved audio system, live music, the comedy show, and the live medieval armored fighting.
The bards, yeah.
Yeah, we're frequently cited as highlights. Great.
We got some good people to come and take part this year.
We did have some cool music. Community and inclusion, meeting new people for inclusiveness of the atmosphere and the ability for anyone to join any party were popular features. For out-of-state players, releasing lead-up modules was cool to see.
Yeah.
Vendors were appreciated, some noting the good variety of items, great. Logistics and materials, attendees appreciated the streamlined and cleared DM packets.
Yeah.
I'm including the timing and separation for DM info and player info. Responsive captains and fun elements like the swag bags, cool. All right, let's get into the nitty gritty. I love D&D and hope all of you keep using D&D for this game. I was glad that you made me get the 5.5 book and that you used all those rules. Well, I'm glad you were glad, because that was something I felt bad that we had to force people to upgrade the rules.
Yeah, there are so many people in the TTRPG community, and we want this event to be accessible to as many people as possible, but not everybody plays the same game.
Yeah.
So that can be a difficult tightrope to figure out.
The fact that anyone can join any party was super nice. I was a DM and only 2 players, so when we had 3 more join the party, we were ecstatic to get to play with them as well.
Yeah.
What a great attitude. We powered through the module, and it was fun to play with completely random players and a DM. So another completely random party.
Yeah.
I know it was unofficial, but I did enjoy hanging out with a few folks for SushiCon.
Nice.
The Thursday before everything kicked off. Maybe next year I'll try to make it more sure I'm on a table with more locals so we can hang out more than just the day of. Absolutely loved the real-time event. Thought it was hard to hear. Though it was hard to hear, my group missed the transition. Having teams have a designed event was cool. The Codebreakers' successful yells and cheers was a blast to hear and inspired me, an exterminator.
Yeah, that's cool.
Love the sound effects that go along with different acts or big moments. The audio this year was way better and really added to everything. I love the award ceremony at the end. Tables getting the most deaths and crits. The armored fighting. The certificates at the end were really fun. Gives us some fun ideas about what other people might be experiencing. Love the event announcements during the gameplay. Made the atmosphere epic. We love the puzzle work of the finding of the binding of liturgy. The Wandering Bards gave us a D8 that came in clutch. We love them, awesome addition. Wow, we love the real folk.
Yeah.
I love the atmosphere inclusiveness, was awesome. Love the cooperative nature between tables and the combined win or lose camaraderie. Getting the packet early. Honestly, the whole thing was amazing. Comedy show,
Let's
yay.
go.
Highlight reel at the end. Sushi Clash was cool.
Yeah, we got to make that more of like an official thing. It seems like.
Releasing modules online that led up to the event, giving our group who was out of state the ability to play in adventures before was awesome. Attending the Writing Your Adventure panel and attending an in-store game on Thursday with Colin also really helped us feel included. The Discord was also deeply appreciated and helped fill out the event experience. Hello.
For the 6th, you're doing events at the new store. Do I need to bring dice? Like, what should I bring? Because we're going to just come up and spend
our day over there?
Yeah.
I love that. You can bring whatever you would need for like normal gaming. We will have both RPG gaming in the store and Magic the Gathering and other trading card games happening outside the store.
Okay.
Yeah, so bring whatever you want.
Okay. Awesome.
Like
Meeting
new people from lands unknown.
That's what I really think. That's what I love about this. people coming, playing with people they've never played before, making lifelong friends, meeting their partners. There was a couple who met at, was it the first year?
Dude, there was, oh, man, and I wanted to highlight them this year, but we got them something cool.
Yeah.
There's a couple that met at the first Dead Wars.
Yeah.
They sat at
were
each
just
other's
two random
table.
people
They
who
were random
ended up at a
people.
table together.
And then that's how they met.
Yeah.
And they started dating.
And they
got
got
married.
Yeah.
And
The fact that we did that.
they met
You know?
because of Conclash.
Yeah. It's so cool.
Dead Wars, their first
So
Dead
cool.
Wars.
Yeah.
Sword fighting was so cool.
Had fun with your wife. Very good.
I thought the atmosphere was great. Really enjoyed the bards going to each table, and it was nice that the snack cart came by our tables too. I absolutely love that each faction were finding things that needed to be shared with the other faction. So there was a base camp to send one of our players. That was so fun and felt much more involved.
Wow, there are so many.
I think it was so much fun. This was my first time participating. I was very impressed at how well everything worked together between the different tables, the site to record technical kills, and the words that were found. Overall, it was a fantastic experience. The moment when 1,000 plus people erupted applause when Andy announced our victory. The final stand was epic beyond belief, getting to cosplay for the first time. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Medieval fighting, story is always great. Music, particularly the Wandering Minstrels during the event itself. Our DM was amazing and so fun, despite the fact we didn't know he was being our DM until less than 5 minutes beforehand. If you guys have a question, maybe James can help you there.
Legacy boons, keep Conclash going. We're gonna.
I've got
do
it
our
over
best.
here.
We're gonna take a brief pause
No,
at this juncture.
you guys can use this right here.
We can talk about what we want to do next.
So yeah,
I mean,
so
besides venue.
I think we've touched on all of the, the goods and the bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about kind of the dreams, the future, the idea.
So the 4 years we've been doing this, it's all been in the same universe, same world that is a congruent storyline. I really want to break out and maybe do some other genres. And maybe these are other events that we bring to other things. Maybe
Yes.
Conclash stays in the same.
Conclash
Yeah.
will always be our world,
Okay.
our lore. However, I agree with you on wanting to do this for like a sci-fi game.
Or a Western. But
Yeah.
especially a sci-fi or space theme.
Dude, like a sci-fi,
know?
like the Star Wars,
got
like
the-
Shield of
you-
Endor,
yeah,
space battle,
exactly.
Battle on the ground.
Or space dogfights, dude.
Yeah, I think this would be.
It'd be so cool to have
Legends of Adventurous recently had a successful Kickstarter where they did a sci-fi supplement for D&D
Yeah.
5e, and I've been keeping an eye on them because I love what they do. Man, it would be so cool to do to go in with them and collaborate. Hold on, let's get into comments
yeah,
before.
a lot of comments came up.
Okay.
People played 4 adventures, had on
Okay.
the Conclash website. Those explained what was going on and were super fun. Yeah.
Also, Jeffrey was horrifying. Okay, Fencing Princess. We also played the 4 pre-adventures and enjoyed them immensely. Thank you for
Heck
playing
yeah.
the things. Okay, Shane. Separating the packet into 2. 1 being the game and 2 being monsters indexes would have helped. Good, that's good feedback. We have our map pack. We might as well just have map and monsters.
Yeah.
Thanks for the fantastic event. From the vendor side, it was awesome to see the variety of people. Last year to this year, it was nice to see more people continuing to come around throughout the event.
Yeah. I think we had a bigger turnout this year than we did last year.
Yeah, this was our second biggest event ever.
Yeah.
I would be happy to pay more for a ticket to have VIP tables and professional DMs and terrain setup, similar to what goes on in the store. Also, being closer to the stage would be worth paying for.
Yeah. We've done VIP tickets for tables before, but maybe that's something we can revisit.
Yeah, we didn't do it this year, but it is something we can absolutely look at. My group played with one of the pro DMs year 2, and it was honestly one of the best experiences we ever had.
Right on.
Year
Which
2
was
was
a good
Michael.
one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Been great to see the improvement year after 4 years. Thank you. So missed being there this year. Oh, for the cruise, you should do a space pirate.
Yo,
Treasure Planet, Firefly,
I've always
Stardust.
wanted that kind of setup.
Hey,
dude.
this is our mom. Thank you, Mom.
Oh.
We missed you.
Yo, that is our mom.
That is absolutely our mom.
Yeah.
Of course, she wants a Firefly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So dreams. I would love to do another event that we can explore a different genre, and I think sci-fi would be a super cool event. We now have a second store in a second mall
That
is sci-fi themed.
Yeah.
So we could absolutely do a big sci-fi theme game at
the
this-
Sandy
at the
Southtown
Sandy
store.
Yeah.
There's so much I'm excited to bring to that store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'd love to do a sci-fi.
What do you think the game looks like for next year? Like every year we come up with a big idea. You know, year 2 we decided to do 2 games on 2 days. Year 3 we decided to bring out the factions and do PvP. And this year, you know, we did a combination of factions that were working together. So what is the year 5 hook?
Yeah, we've had this idea for doing like a Tarrasque battle, but like the Tarrasque is like, you know, the size of like a state. So like you're fighting on its back, but you're fighting like the fleas and the insects on it, and
Right.
those are your size of creatures.
Yeah.
And so you need to have a squad that's fighting on its back. You need to have a squad that's like gone into its mouth and fighting in its intestines, and
Right.
then you got another aerial squad. I don't know. So
you get the variation of terrain, but it's a living creature that's
yeah, the entire encounter, you're on a living creature, and it can like roll its shoulder, and then everyone who's on the back of it has to now make saves or risk getting thrown off, or you know, it could ingest acid, and then everyone on the inside has to figure something out. Or so having a huge
that could be cool.
huge thing. Somebody said bring the factions back.
Make them more distinct. in
Yeah,
game.
no,
Yeah.
we do want the factions.
Yeah.
Will be making a return. They're a really cool piece of our lore, so we want to be able to incorporate them more.
Yeah. People fought hard for their factions.
Oh, okay, so some people want to know a little bit about the cruise.
Oh yeah.
We have a poster.
Do we?
We had a poster. It's around here somewhere. James, look around for our cruise poster. Anyway.
Oh, I bet we have a card for it over on the thing. The cruise.
2026,
Yeah.
we're doing a cruise, D&D at sea, or Conclash at sea. We're partnering with Expedia Cruises. It's a cruise booking agency. We've already got the ship. We've already got the rooms. And we can...
Your wife told us where the cruise poster is.
Thanks.
There you go.
Thanks, my love.
Yeah.
All right.
Dude, I'm so excited for this one.
So this is not a replacement of
Yeah.
Conclash.
Our regular yearly game will be happening in addition to this.
Yeah. This is our first time trying to do something like this. We're excited. We want to see Conclash grow, and we want to be able to do new things with it. And so when this company was like, hey, we want to see if we can bring it to sea, and we can host the biggest D&D game at sea.
Yeah.
That's actually a pretty cool
It'll
idea.
definitely be a lot smaller than our mall game, but it'll be more like 400 people.
I think
Or
it's like 200 to 400 people.
200 to 400. But I think what that'll give us the ability to do is make it much more of a show, much more of a performance. Just because we'll have the tighter quarters of the ship, where it'll be much easier to communicate with the whole event.
Yeah. All right, we got some things in the chat, and then we'll keep on talking. Missed the writers panel. Did they mention where they got their inspiration? So Kevin was the main writer for this, and Michael was doing the pre-lore for this.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't talk too much.
So I know that something that was spurring Kevin on was like a return to form to traditional Gary Gygax D&D.
Yeah, this was much more classic dungeon delve.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was absolutely some of the inspiration. Factions could be in competition for who does the best, but still have a collective goal, so it doesn't feel bad about losing. I think that's how we would want to incorporate factions again.
Yeah.
Maybe it's either something as a player you can choose, and hey, if I'm part of the Arcane Registry, I get this little buff and flavor. Or maybe it's something as a table you choose, and you're not fighting against each other. Instead, you're trying to all work together. But at the end, we can then say, hey, this one faction
did the best.
Therefore, canonically, they will get more benefits. Their agenda will be pushed forward more in the narrative.
Interesting.
Raymond, sorry, just dropped in. Did I miss the dates for the next Conclash available? We have not announced dates for 2026's Conclash. We did announce the dates for the cruise.
Yep.
That's happening in February or March 6th.
In previous years, we've announced the dates as early as September. By the time FanX rolls around, I can't promise that that's the time we'll have dates locked down this year. But that's similar to what we've done in the past.
Yeah, it all comes down to the venues as we're trying to find our venues. We love doing it springtime. Great. Yeah. Hopefully we can stick to that.
We try and schedule it around the ending of the semester for the local colleges in the area to again try and bump up our numbers of attendees.
Yeah.
But yeah, springtime, you can assume May or April.
Yeah. So yeah, we want to bring back the factions. We want to do more. I want to be able to host more of these games. And I want to put on more theatrics. And I would love a bigger venue that could support that. I think those are all the big things. Do you have any idea where your next venue will be? With the mall possibly closing?
Yeah.
A few places we're picking out.
Yeah.
Provo Convention Center is one of them.
Yeah.
They've approached us. The MACU Convention Center
in Sandy.
Yeah. We have the Sandy Mall as well, the Shops of Southtown. Those are some of the locations we can absolutely host.
Dungeon and exploration was fun, and it would be cool to have a pre-designed layout where exploration matters. Also, puzzles would be nice.
Yeah, puzzles are a classic dungeon experience, and so if we did revisit the dungeon, I think there's more we can do.
More puzzle solving to be done, because there was some puzzle solving by the code breakers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yo, James, if you want to do garbages, it's that time.
It's that time.
Oh yeah. Give us a second.
We're actually working here while we're doing this.
One.
I'm trying to think. This cruise is gonna be pretty cool. I'm going on my first cruise in a couple of weeks on my honeymoon. So, not to brag, but absolutely just to brag.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
Yeah.
I've never been.
You've never been on? Oh, your wife's been on a cruise.
I know.
Though.
But she went without me.
She went without you.
That's okay. She needed it more than I did. But
a couple more. Thanks for making this year's Conclash so much fun and be a part of.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a part of it because it was so much fun.
Is there a better way to split and organize the groups? But we'll say as a first timer, My group overall had a grand time. We were from Kansas.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I think this year had the most out-of-state travelers.
Yeah, I think the longer we do it, the more the word gets out there to, people not just in our local area.
Yeah, and so and it's all about like getting the word out long enough, so people have time to plan and travel from across the states. So I need to create a map that people can like pin where they've come from, so we can see
that'd
that.
be really cool.
Do you have a sneak peek for next year's Conclash? Have the writers dropped any hints? No, we have not.
No.
We're
we
still
will.
recovering. Very much so.
I think last year, right after our, the third game, it was like 2 weeks had passed, and then we immediately dove into development for this last year that just happened. I think we're probably going to be doing something similar for next year.
Yeah, no, we
eventually we'll get to the point where we can start working on next year's before our current year's game. Of course, we've worked in a little tie-in so that, there are threads that we can follow. It's going to probably be pretty soon that we start diving into it all for next year. Yeah.
Here's a cool question. Any celebrity guest collabs in the works for next year? So, one of the big hang-ups about having celebrities is the mall itself, because the mall can't really be secured for big-time celebrities.
Yeah.
We've
done a couple of events that have had, some notable celebrities. I want to say, like Authors in the Dungeon, I'd say is when we had some people that were like legitimately like celebrity people.
Well, I think they're talking like if we could have like Legends of Evantress or Critical Role or if we could pull in Ginny D.
Yeah.
Okay, and we have talked to the talent agencies for some of these. Like we did talk to the talent agency for Ginny D, and they were very interested up until the fact that it was like, since it's a public mall, you can't like vet and assure safety for the guests.
There's not any kind of security screening for the venue.
Anyone can walk into the mall.
Yeah.
It's a public mall.
We next year, fingers crossed we get into a real venue space. We got that unlocked. We can absolutely have
bring in
security. Also, I just want to say, whoever posted that question, you're probably very attractive. And thank you for posting.
You know that one?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
all of our family tuning in. I appreciate it.
I know.
Please consider making the Divisions gameplay different in terms of what they're doing again. This year in 3 divisions were kind of described as having different gameplay styles, but this year they all seemed the same. Great feedback, and that is some of the notable feedback we've gotten in the surveys that we did. Is to make the divisions feel more different.
Yeah.
Absolutely something we want to be better at. I want to see a dragon boss of some kind eventually. Flying table to table, lighting PCs and terrain on fire.
That would be sick.
I would love a walking around villain who could go around and interact with tables.
Yeah.
I think that would be so cool.
Give me another big bag. Because the one in there was...
I would say our second year where we had Rob from Viva La Dirt League. They probably had the most agency to do table-to-table interaction, but that's also when we had Eos and Skotos going around to tables, and I think they were even sometimes given buffs or debuffs to people. Table-to-table interaction with actors, with the villain, stuff like that. Super cool.
Yeah, if we could make an actual production, that would be so cool.
You got to play in that. Christopher Paolini played at the table next to mine. Yeah, the Authors in the Dungeon, getting to play D&D with the authors, that was super cool. I was at the Christopher Paolini table, not to brag again, but that was one of the coolest experiences ever.
Yeah, I'm pretty jealous.
Yeah.
Give the tables a chance for opportunity attacks as the BBEG leaves. That's a great idea.
Yo.
Yes, they were giving debuffs. I had a player talk back to them. That's super rough. Interacting with Molokai Queen, even as an NPC, was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Not at Conclash. This
No.
was a separate event we
Yeah,
had.
he was at
Christopher
our
Bellini
Authors
was
in the
there.
Dungeon event. Operation Literacy and Eric Anderson came and they put on a fun event called Authors in the Dungeon. The authors, they held panels about writing stuff for Dungeons and Dragons, other tabletop role-playing stuff. There was signings and stuff, and then the biggest thing at the end was you could buy a ticket to play with some of these authors, so that was pretty cool.
Would love to be an actor. Yeah, it's super fun to be the captain or the people walking around the tables.
Yeah, the years where in previous years, I'll just go into some of my experience as someone who's worked with Conclash every year. A lot of the years I was just the muscle guy. I'm the guy helping set up the tables. I'm like the guy helping set up the booths, set up the stage, whatever. This year was probably my first year where I was doing the most behind the scenes, being a part of the merchandise getting set up for the event, and that was super cool. But other stuff I've enjoyed in previous years was getting to be on stage. The year I got to be a captain. The second year where we did the Before the Dead Wars, where I got to make a character that was a part of the story. And so next year I'm hoping to combine the two, where I get to do more behind the scenes stuff and more stage character interaction with player stuff.
Yeah.
So a combination of those two, I think, would be my ideal
So cool.
stuff.
Okay. Well,
This has been good.
Yeah, it's been great. We've gotten good feedback. I appreciate everyone who's commented, visited. Thanks to Mom. Thanks for my wife. Thanks for your soon-to-be wife. Super fun event this year. First time I didn't DM live stuff. Yeah, but my 9-year-old even came and had a blast. Anyway, DM take a price increase. Reliability is a good idea. I'd be happy to pay.
That's good to hear.
I think that's a
the
good
way
fix.
to go. Yeah.
But
Cool.
we appreciate everyone.
Thank you for watching.
If you still want to, the survey is still up. So if you have any final thoughts, you can go back and fill out that survey.
Yeah. And if you're in the area, our new store, our grand opening, June 6th, in the Sandy, Southtown, shops at Southtown. I forget the name of that. But it is going to be a party.
Yeah.
Thank you for the wrap-up.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
Appreciate everyone. Have a good night.
Adios.
I gotta walk around to turn it off. It's not here. All right, well, the awkward moment.
Yeah.
Let's just walk around.
Final strike this year. The final act was longer, lead up to combat,
Yep,
more strength. Final fight felt more like a time killer. Yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody.